Hey, bring in a chair from the other room. How's it going? Bring in a chair. I can help. Ezra, it's great to see you, Jody. Oh, are you sure? I was.
Believe me.
I guess I could stand.
It's just a total possibility
as well.
to looking at.
Okay, Facebook world, it's Mastermind Monday. And just to let you know, we will be having our awesome discussion in front of you. However, you will be able to put comments in and I will respond to you later. At this time, we're passing out the exclusive right to sell contract and I will go ahead and share my screen. Boop, 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 and share. And here we go. Ezra, you didn't get the, oh, did you? Okay. Are you happy over there?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we can cram. We're good. Thank you. Okay. Well, it's a good chair, right? Bree sits and her all the time. Okay. Well, before we get started, I'd like to introduce you guys to a few awesome folks. First one, Bree, you already started speaking this morning. So would you remind everyone of what's happening and what that website is we're supposed to go to? Because I have so many in my head.
Right. All right. So Bree with Rock Title. I am directly upstairs. If you guys need anything to do with marketing, lead gen strategies, anything with the technology for Rock Title, as well as the One University and One Suite stuff on there. So happy to sit down with you guys. We on onerockstar.com.
Thank you.
We put, it's everything that Rock University has, but we have additional training for you guys specific to Realty One Group. So a lot of the trainings that are on the CRM or how to send a newsletter through the CRM or any of that information that's going to help you guys build your business, we re-recorded some of those trainings for you guys so that you have a full library of all of those trainings. And again, it's onerockstars.com. OneROCSTARS.com. And if you have any questions, let me know. There's a bunch of new stuff in there. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, and Barb is here, and she is our new go-to person here at the office. Chuck is assisting as well, but Barb is coming to our meetings and our trainings, and so it's all you, my friend.
And I'm with Epic Lending, Barb Spitzak. Thank you all for being here today for this mastermind. I have anything you guys need as far as scenarios. I know that you're going to run into things out there with your buyers and you're not sure whether or not there's a solution for it. I mean, reach out to me, let me know. I can run numbers for you. I can let you know what we have available, you know, in addition to the traditional conventional FHA, VA, down payment assistance. Outside of that, there's a ton of other options as well, like bank statement loans, ITIN, Home Funded. So if you're not already signed up with Home Funded on a portal, let me know, because on Fridays, the guy that started at our company has a webinar every Friday or almost every Friday, going over it with agents so that they understand how to sell it better, how to use the marketing tools, how to grab attention on your social media. It's pretty unique. And we can help you set up your portal so that you can send that link to anyone that comes to mind. It could be one of your friends' kids in college that might want to buy a house in a year or two, and now they're saving, you know, every Christmas, every birthday, people can put money in there. They can shop with the link and the percentage goes in there, all kinds of things. So I'm happy to go over that in more detail with you guys one-on-one, or anything really on one-on-one. So just let me know, set up an appointment. I can meet you in the office here, or we can have a phone call. And I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Barb. And we're going to focus a lot on listings today. And there's that new program that you guys have been exclusively talking about, list to lock or lock to list.
Lock and list, I believe it is. Yeah, yeah, something like that, right? It's brand new. And that allows, so say your seller is in a hurry, right? And they don't want it to sit for 3 to 6 months, like some of them are sitting. They can be a little more aggressive with buying down the rate right away. And there's a fee associated with that, and you can go into that. But it gets them more attention for buyers that are worried about the interest rate. Obviously, we go at a certain level, and so if their credit score is a little bit lower, a little bit higher, that can adjust based on the day we locked it. But it's a very good advantage for your sellers that are trying to be a little more aggressive out there.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Bree or Barb?
I also have list reports, so anyone that doesn't already use it, I'm happy to set you up on that for free, and then I would be your lender on there for, open houses, or when you have your your listings, and then all of a sudden the marketing program goes right into your inbox. So it's pretty nice when you have a listing. Marketing kit.
Fantastic. Any questions, guys? Do you know each other? I don't think everyone knows that everybody. So, because Azuri you haven't been to a mastermind yet, right?
No, I was just at the other meeting like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true. And that was awesome. And so were all of you, but let's go ahead and start. And and now that I introduced you, and that's why I try so hard not to do that to people. Tell us something fun you did this weekend and your first name or your full name, whatever makes you happy.
Ann Gardner, and I was up at Cape Creek Bike. We found the Harleys this weekend.
Wow,
nice.
Did you see Chuck up there?
I did.
He was up there. I saw that he was up there.
Yeah, I did.
Kathy Van Fredenberg, and I was at my son's track meet and my other son's basketball tournament all weekend.
That is awesome. Mandy, neat. I bought a bookcase.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Miranda Tate is my name. What did I do? That was fun. This was fun and it was exciting. Setting up invitations for my son's graduation. So that was fun.
Yeah. It's on to you, Azri.
My name is Ezra here. I'm a musician too, and I also go play over the weekend at a big church called CCD. And we were able to bring my kid for the first time because he's 7 months old.
Oh.
He spent 3 months when he was born. He spent 3 months at the hospital. So it was a great day for us that we could take him out, just have fun.
Awesome.
Great.
Bree, something I did fun over the weekend is my niece who we have partial custody with is also graduating soon. And so we did a girls' night with my mother-in-law and just a couple of her friends. And we did all stuff about like what they wanted for their dorm rooms and like ideas. And we had a sleepover. It was really fun.
Awesome.
Nice. Jody Walters, and I didn't do anything really cool.
That kind of sounds fun to me.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Actually, my open house Sunday was fun.
Oh,
I
good.
ended up having a lot of people.
Oh,
It was
good.
very exciting. It was a beautiful
Great.
day. All the doors and windows were open, and I had a good turnout. So
Was that
to me,
your own listing?
It was my own listing on Villa Martinique, which is just a mile away. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $599.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Just so you
Okay.
know, it was
Very
good.
cool.
I think I'm gonna get an offer.
Again, that's Jody Walters. She doesn't have an offer yet. One's coming. Make sure to check it out.
Carla Vasquez. I went to one of my high school friends' parents' 55th anniversary.
Wow.
Oh.
She let him live that long, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
And they were-
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
And they were celebrating.
Sorry, gentlemen.
I'm Caroline, and I went to San Diego this weekend. It was kind of a second thought after the Jayhawks lost, so we were gonna go to Vegas and see them in Vegas, but then they lost, and then we decided to go to San Diego.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lucinda, I went to Top Golf with some friends yesterday.
Nice.
That sounds fun.
Dave Coquette, did my usual Supercross party on Saturday nights, a lot of fun, a lot of food, cool, fun people. Did a little mountain biking, and I showed a house on Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah, so that finally getting back in there.
It's nice to get that real estate high back, right?
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
yes.
And you had a busy weekend, Dave.
Barb Spitzak, Epic Lending, and I went to my first Litchfield Park Historical Society cocktail party
Wow.
on Friday night and home tour on Saturday. I saw the most beautiful house in Litchfield Park by Wigwam. I've never seen a house with this great of detail. It was beautiful. And I did a senior photo session yesterday. Sometimes I do photography on the side. I used to do it more full time, but I still love it. And so I did a senior session yesterday and my son had a baseball tryout. So it was busy.
Yeah.
That is awesome. It's funny to me. If you guys haven't been to Litchfield Park, I'd really urge you guys to go out there. When you work with or hang out with people that live in what they would call proper Litchfield Park, I forgot. They call it the park. And I'm always like, what?
That's exactly what I said when I moved out here 18 years ago from Chicago. They're like, it's in the park. And I'm like, okay.
They mean near the wigwam.
Right.
And we all say thank you, Jerry Colangelo, for those prices soaring.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you all for sharing and thanks for coming today. Please speak up if you have questions. Now, a couple weeks ago, and thank you, Barb, for teaching the other week as well. We went over pages 1 and 2 of the listing contract. And again, this is the exclusive right to sell. This is not exclusive agency. Can anybody remind me of the difference between exclusive right to sell and exclusive agency agreements?
Well, it means that the sellers can sell their own property on an exclusive agency and don't have to pay a commission.
Yep.
But the exclusive right is, no matter who sells the property, you get it. And it's exclusive to your listing.
Way to go, Jody. Yeah. Nail it in on home. We did do it. I did do one on Zoom with you guys, and we talked about, compensation and discussions and overcoming objectives. Thank you all for being willing to change from 10 to 3 that day. I had a manager meeting and I didn't want to just not do it. Like, that's not cool. So how do we shift it? So thank you for that. So now we're going to go down to something I think is extremely important. And that's lines 59 through 61. Lines 59 through 61 talk about withdrawn or canceled listings. So what if the seller wants to withdraw or cancel the listing with you prior to this agreement expiring? What do they owe you? How much of the commission? Yes, ma'am. See, a lot of realtors, we skip over these lines because you're like, oh my gosh, I got through the top section of this form. Woohoo! Oh, the fees are set, right? Because I am worth it. But then if someone goes, you get all the photos done and you put it online and they see their home and they go, I didn't know how beautiful my home was. I want to keep it. And you're like, what? Have you ever been there?
I have.
Yeah, so like, if not, it will come. It's like, why gosh, when I unclutter the house, it is what I always love.
Yeah.
Those baseboards are officially clean. Let me stay. Right? I want you to be able to point this out to them in the event they decide to cancel or withdraw the listing. Based on the fact today they want to sell and they're signing this agreement, they're in a legally binding contract with you and they will owe you the commission in its entirety, but you'd be happy to release them with that payment. Okay, let me tell you right now, if someone wants to cancel their listing with you, you most likely do not want to be trapped with them for the next duration of this agreement. Mm-hmm. However, we are under no obligation to release them. So don't do a bad job. If you do a bad job, then I do release them and you get nothing. But maybe start thinking about like, what would be my discussion points in the event this happened? And is it important at initial meeting to give someone adequate time and maybe have a few things highlighted to say, you're agreeing that we're going to sell this home. You're agreeing to this compensation rate. You understand this means from this point forward, unless we just don't sell the property and not from you not acting in good faith and not from me not doing my job, that the entirety of the compensation is due. Okay. So that's something to kind of remind you of. The other thing that I think you need to have a full on discussion with, or I can't help you enforce, is 71 through 73, failure to complete. Remember, this is all talking to the seller. This is an agreement between the owner/seller and yourself. In the event The seller decides not to close on the property. Not based on the buyer being in breach. Okay, this isn't based on the rights of the contract. Based on the fact that some sellers don't always want to move forward in a good manner, right? So we get down to close of escrow and the seller says, I don't want to sell anymore. I don't want to move. Do they owe you compensation? Yes.
Yeah. With this contract.
Yeah, but how much do they owe you compensation per 71 through 73? And I'm not talking about canceling a listing at this point, just not completing a purchase contract.
Well, it says 100%. The entire.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's say the buyer's in breach. Okay, which happens like not very often. The buyer's in breach of contract. The seller's going to cancel and win the buyer's earnest money. And the seller's good with taking the buyer's earnest money per the remedy section of the contract, which says this is saying that these are my damages. I don't have any recourse to go any further on that buyer, right? So as the realtor representing the seller, you do what the seller asks you and you get the earnest money. How much of that, if any, is due to you?
Half of them.
Yeah, half goes to the broker.
The lesser of 1/2 of the earnest deposit.
The earnest.
Or the full amount.
Right, so if the earnest money is
10 grand.
10 grand and you weren't, that's a great number, but and you weren't, and 5,000 goes to you, but the commission was only going to be 3,500, you can only do up to your commission amount. But it's about the full commission, not just half of the commission. Okay, everything we do is based on line 39. So did you have a discussion with the seller again when you represented them and presented offers to remind them, don't forget, I am compensated for my time as well. In the unlikely event you win earnest money or decide to go after the buyer's earnest money, half goes to you and half goes to me. So out of that $10,000, is $5,000 enough for you to be off the market for 45 days? Because if you don't present it that way, what do we present earnest money at when we get offers? This is what goes to you in the event the buyer breaches, right? This is their good faith funds. So they hear $10,000 because that's what you just preached goes to me. How many agents stop and say, okay, this is split in half because my time is valuable, as you know, and I am negotiating and working on your behalf. So I'm also compensated for my time. And do you really think it's that hard of a discussion to set someone up and educate them properly?
No.
But do you think as your broker, I can back line 71 through 73 if you never had the conversation?
Oh, you never had the conversation, no.
And if when you presented offers, you didn't re-bring it up? No, I will tell you right now, the entirety will go to the seller. Because if you're not going to be willing as a professional to have the conversation and prove you had the conversation, and proof could just be in that, just want to let you know a few bullet points about earnest money and what this really means to you. In writing is so, have the conversation, then put it in writing. I can't back you in this argument. I don't care that they initialed that they, understood this page. No, and they'd be like, what, I trust you, right? Miranda, that's what you get all the time. I trust you. And you're like, well, I'm glad one of us does. Just teasing. No, because I always say that. I'm like, well, I'm glad one of us does because like sometimes I wake up and I can't believe I forgot something, right? And so I want to make sure that you read it for yourself and you understand what these two clauses mean. The one thing I will tell you is I will back you when someone is just trying to get out of the listing. Look, they met someone at a party last night and the party person totally overstepped the bounds of code of ethics and they promised them the moon and back. And now they want to cancel with you and list with them. And they're like, I will say anything I have to get this broker to cancel. You might also think about, do you have some type of cancellation fee written in? Or are you going to go over the whole enchilada? Because at the end of the day, if someone doesn't want to sell with me anymore, do I want the torture for the next 6 months?
No.
But then I've already spent money, time, and energy on them. Do I want to be compensated for my time, money, and energy? And what does that look like, right? Jessica Fairbanks is a realtor in our office that is absolutely to the T perfection on contracts. And she's so good that she has no fear of having these conversations. You don't have to sell with me today, but then we're going to have an agreement drawn up by an attorney stating that in the next 5 years, if you choose to sell your home, you're only going to go through me, or you can pay me the compensation in my entirety based on what we had discussed. And she has no fear of having discussion points. And it works for her. So what do you do, knowing that most humans can't afford going to that level, right? Like, so how are you going to protect yourself? And the easiest way is you need to hone in and understand what your rights are as a realtor here, and what you're willing to do. And what, if you're telling me I would never take half of their earnest, fine, don't have the conversation. You might as well cross it off. I'm not going to enforce it unless you enforce it, right? But if you know you're worth it, and you know that you put 45 days in, and you know how hard you worked, and that buyer breaches and that seller has the rights, it means you've done your job perfectly well. I mean, how often do buyers actually breach the contract?
It happens. It happened to me.
Okay, not non-compliance, true breach,
True breach.
a true breach.
Happened to me.
And out of how many deals did it happen?
Well, it was my very first deal, unfortunately. It was a big one. We talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And the other agent followed the letter to a T and cured you, putting your buyer
Yes.
in breach.
yes.
And you can't help if someone performs or not. What you can help is where you've led them to on communication and empowered them on what their abilities are, right?
Yes.
But most realtors, most listing realtors don't even give their sellers, like Bree said, rarely the opportunity to cure, therefore keeping a buyer in non-compliance. And then by the time the buyer goes to go and breach, they've already fulfilled something, typically loan denial. So they're out and they get their money back, right? And so if a buyer's ever going to truly be in breach, you have to make sure you're protecting your seller's timelines with lines 71 through 73, and that they understand that it should never be based on, they should always line themselves up to win in a situation of always being, in compliance with the contract. And the only way you can do that is to cure the other side. And also you're protecting you too. In some ways, I'm not trying to be selfish here, guys, but how much time and energy do we put out for humans with no guarantees of closing?
A lot.
A lot.
How many brokerages, agents like to make promises and guarantees that you just sit there and you're like, if that's real, cool, I'll pay you $1 million. But then actually deliver that, right? So I always tell my sellers, I cannot guarantee anybody closing. But what I can do is try to set you up for success and keep you in compliance and check them on their timelines. And I hope this section doesn't even come into play. My goal is to close, because your goal is to get your net proceeds. But in the event that doesn't happen, I need you to understand the value and the work I've already brought to the table. So this shouldn't be a scary conversation. This just needs to be a real conversation. Anybody have any questions or anything to add? Caroline, I love your hair, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that to Brie, but you like San Diego, like you totally look like making me want to go to the beach today.
Is that a beach hair, don't you?
No, it's just the waves. I'm like,
When you also mention like, hey, I put a lot of money in marketing in all of my listings, this is part of creating this experience for buyers to come in.
yeah, I mean, I definitely hope you had that conversation right from the very beginning when you justified line 39 of your total commission, but then reminding them is of course a great way to go for 59 through 61 for sure, because when people cancel, I am freezing, you're hot.
I know, I keep wondering, I'm like, I'm so. cold.
I'll get you a fan. I'm sorry.
You're
Are you good? I did that one day in here.
I run really hot.
Cool. Yeah, because you work out. Section 5, which is why I don't run hot, because like I was pulling weeds and I was like, oh my God, I think my legs are going to fall off. And I have to be more like my friends. All right. So section 5 is our next section. Please don't just run over this and think they understand it. Do TV brackets need to convey with the property?
Yes.
Okay, how about the TV on the TV bracket?
No.
The storage shed in the backyard, which does not have a concrete foundation and is not affixed to the ground, does it or does it not convey?
It does.
It does convey.
It does
it
convey.
says shed.
Find it in the contract for me.
It's in the very beginning,
It
I
says
believe.
storage sheds right there on line 3 or the third.
Yeah.
column.
it's in the very beginning.
I've made that mistake because I didn't think they were.
Right, line 81. Thank
Oh,
you,
81.
Lucinda.
Oh.
Yep, line 81 at the very end, they do convey, but we've
Oh.
learned Maria, methods of attachments. Adaptability is one, a fixture is one, intent is one. It's all about methods of attachment sometimes, unless it's written in otherwise. We never want somebody to assume they get to take the storage shed, because you know what that's called? Commissionectomy. Mhm. And you are buying a storage shed.
Right.
So sorry, that's just a term that we've used for a long time in real estate. And we don't want that to happen. So also here, you need to ask draperies and other window coverings, line 83. You're on this really beautiful patio and you're like, I'm so excited about my photos of the outside landscaping, right? And they have these beautiful drapes on the patio, sun blockers, right? Sunshades. Do they or do they not convey?
I do.
But you would be amazed how many people debate that, because we could also go from draperies or other window coverings all the way to sunshades. And sunshades are listed as well. So you want to be really careful in asking questions during your listing appointment. I will tell you, no matter what you do right, someone might still try to break the rule set and take something with them.
Oh, yeah.
Pot racks are on eye hooks. And the eye hooks are there for the chain of the pot rack to hang down to hang the pot rack, right? So the eye hooks was the intention for the pot rack. And I have gone through properties before and explained to my sellers, I swear I said it like 50 times and put it in writing. Do you want to keep the pot rack, or are you okay advertising with it? Because your pot rack is so unique and beautiful. And seriously, the house I'm thinking of, they had this see yourself in floor. So I knew the flooring wasn't going to sell.
Yeah.
Like, keep looking to the ceiling. Or do you want to take your pot rack? You know, like, what's the, no, I'll leave it. If it sells the house, I'll leave it. No problem. I'll leave it. I'll leave it. I'll leave it. I'll leave it. For the entirety of the marketing period, day of closing, guess who took their pot rack?
I'm taking it.
Yeah, and then it wasn't a fixed. It's not damaging anything by me taking, like, I'm like, who did you talk to outside of me? You know, like,
Yeah.
what is happening in the world? Guess who got to bring back their pot rack? Yeah, so no matter how right you do things, sometimes it could still go hairy, but you have to go over these items. Also understanding that the cleaning systems go with the pool. You don't get to take them to your new pool. Fridge, washer, and dryer, please have the description. I have so many friends outside of this room that put as seen in MLS or as seen in property. And in here, you'd be putting as seen in property. I need you to remove yourself from this contract and situation and pretend it's 5 years down the road. And the seller is saying, you did something wrong to me and you even sold the wrong fridge and you wouldn't let me take my fridge, right? They bought that beautiful new Samsung one from Costco that I passed the other day that has like a beverage thing in it.
That thing was awesome.
Amazing, $3,000, like, no thanks, but like, wow. And I know I had dreams. I was like, a sale knocking
I've
that
seen it
down.
in people's houses.
Oh,
So nice.
I won't touch. Yeah, it's like smudge free. It better be smudge free. And and they go as seen on property. Well, what did you see on the property? What are you gonna do now, guys? And then you're seeing my phone. I'm sorry, like, you're out. Written descriptions. It's just like a check. You know, just to let you know, a bank is trained to take the written words of the dollar amount before they take the dollar amount on the side. Written words matter. So, yeah.
What if you put in yours and in the MLS, but the other broker just gives you a contract and it says,
Well,
you know.
you might not like me, Jody, for this, but I believe in extra paperwork and extra links because that's why I'm hired as a professional. So I'd actually counter it with the correct verbiage because I want to protect my seller at all times.
Okay.
I think you would like that because you come from a TC lane, but a lot of my friends out there go, well, that's just one more piece of paper and we're in this debate and we just need to wrap it up. Okay, you can wrap it up this way, you know, just fast and hope someone signs an addendum, right? Like, because addendums are not forced. Or you can do what we were hired to do, which is promote and protect your client's interest. And I will tell you, when I'm in the field and I'm hustling on a deal, I want it wrapped up too. Trust me, I don't want to sit there in my little compliance head and think, let me go to the next step, but I will every time. And then I pass out after it's all done.
You can do it in encounters. so
Yeah,
if you're
that's
countering
exactly it.
Something else. Or...
I do an encounter, even if it's the only thing I'm countering. I have, I see offers that our amazing office receives that agents can be so lazy that they auto-fill their forms and it says client of blank as the seller. And I'm like, you can't even check monsoon. You hurt my heart. So do me a favor and describe. I mean, it's as easy as black stainless side by side with one drawer freezer, one drawer, whatever that thing was. I'm still in love with it. I'm just not gonna buy it.
Photo in.
You could put a photo in, but they're not signing off on the photo.
Oh.
They're acknowledging this page. They're actually initialing acknowledging what's written on this page.
Mhm.
So, and you could do that with a photo if they're going to date and sign that photo page,
So it has to be initialed for it to actually work.
because that's a seller acknowledging that they agreed to it.
What if it
Because it
has a
says
make and
see
model?
photo on the,
Yeah.
well, see attached photo.
It still needs to be signed, right? Because then I could put any photo I want with it when I send it over for documentation.
So we used to just do like the VIN number, kind of that down.
Yeah,
where it's
serial
in the
number.
contract.
I just take
Serial
I
number.
take a picture of the model.
Yeah, make your
We
model.
go on
and
Sean,
I
take
pictures of the model and write everything down.
and that way you guys
right
are-
I love, in a classroom, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Showing 5 homes in 120 degrees and hoping I still have cold Gatorade in my trunk is a whole nother
Yeah,
docket.
yeah.
Having a client who's rush mode and moody as all get out that day, and I'm just trying to make them happy. And I'm like, it wasn't me, but I'm going to take it on, that is a great way we've been taught. Also, sometimes you open the fridge and you don't see what you want to find, right? And I'm sorry, but I ain't poking around someone's fridge. So, I'm just telling you at a bare minimum, it needs to be a description. If you're able to go that far, go for it. Just the reality of conforming in the marketplace to what your clients are that day and trying to win over a seller. Because if you have a high I or a high D seller and you're like, let me get the VIN number off your fridge, you have completely turned that person off. If you have a C personality seller, which is an analytical prepare, our engineer friends are like, I love this person. But let me tell you, most are like, let's go. You've been here for your 45 minutes. I have a life. Like you have a 7-month-old child. Like you're like, look, we got feeding time. We have nap time. We have you have stuff lined up. You don't want someone, sometimes the details, I just need you to know the minimum amount. But if you can go there with that person you're with, totally do it.
Well, even just the make and model, usually it says some of that on the outside, but
Yeah.
if not, then a brief description of it.
Yeah. And that's why I love great photos, right? Because when I'm a buyer's agent and I have melted and they finally choose a house and I'm like, I have these notes, but it's all, I'm like, I'm so hot. It's about to be here. I'm just hoping for a little more heat, like 54 degrees is still like something's wrong outside. And I'm like, I'm so hot. I zoom in on MLS and you can tell, like you said, LG, Samsung,
Right.
standard. So that's just an area. The other thing is leased or not owned items, knowing what to ask. Solar system, they know, ask the questions there. If you see panels on their roof, definitely ask, do you own it? Do you have a loan? Is it paid off? Do you lease it? Like, what's going on? And can I get a copy of that eventually? If you do not see solar panels, but there was evidence inside the house, like in the garage or in the laundry room that seemed like there, but you didn't see the panels because they were really good at hiding the panels. There was one house I was like, I didn't see any panels. Just ask. I just want to verify do you have solar? Because I didn't notice it when I pulled up. Oh, great hiding, and then have the discussion about it. Also know if they keep bragging their pool is salt water, you want to ask why. Like, why is your most are chlorine. Why is your salt water? Because it could be along with the people who clean the pool. Some people have that unique value proposition as pool cleaners that they will transform it from chlorine to salt. Water softeners, all kinds of things. So make sure you ask questions. Make sure you have the discussion on alarm systems. They don't go with you. You cannot leave a hole in the wall. I need to know your intent now. If your intent is to leave the hole in the wall, let's talk about drywalling and getting that taken care of pretty soon. Right? And let's talk about it, because if it's something I need to negotiate in the contract, we need to understand that. Fixtures not included in the sale. It's really easy for them to say, I want to take my pot rack. Cool. Just tell me here. Because then what is my job as the realtor is make sure I counter out the pot rack. Any questions there? Any more comments? Anything going on? You guys doing good?
What would be other leased items? Do you have other examples or anything?
Other leased items,
Water
Re-
filtration.
hey.
The water softener. is,
Yeah, I've got the water filtration, I've run across those very least.
Okay. Yeah, if there's any kind of services that seem like out of the ordinary that are provided, just ask them, you know, is that something that you pay for an addition, or does that come with your house? Like, that's so cool.
Gotcha.
Sometimes the sellers don't even know that their leased solar or their bought solar has limits on who can take it over.
Yeah.
Like before mine, I know that there was limits on their credit score and stuff like that. So that's
Oh, wow.
A lot of
huge that you know about
650
that before listing it, because a buyer might have to have a certain credit score in order to qualify.
And sometimes they think that they were buying it and it was leased.
Oh, yeah.
People never lie at the table when you say. I mean,
Except for me.
I mean, intentionally misinformed. No, you unintentionally. No, she's joking. You informed proper, Miranda. I just like giving you a hard time because they're sitting next to me.
I know, and we have a same shoes on.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very nice. Okay,
Does anybody know if the solar system is paid off, does that actually bring value to the house?
it can,
Okay.
but it does have to be paid in full. And then I would suggest hiring a solar expert to evaluate the wattage and if it's still adding value. Because there's a point, like any other mechanical item of the home, that it becomes more of a hindrance because it's something that also has to be maintained. It's another engine, so to speak. That's how I think of it. But we definitely have a class coming up on solar, by the way, in June with Tara Rotowski over at the Scottsdale Association Account for CE. She is my favorite solar person. I'm sorry, let me go mute my phone. I was really into like that.
Yeah, she's really good
Mhm.
for solar.
She makes it interesting and fun.
Yeah, and she used to sell solar, and she got out of it when the Department of Energy and her did not align any longer, and she saw it was hindering people more than assisting people, and that you were selling something that was, you were kind of fibbing a little bit, right? Puffing. So she was like, and I'm done. So that would be a great class to go to.
I took that class before, it was amazing.
I know I could take it like 5 times in
I
solar
would
and more.
take it again.
Yeah.
I would take it again.
She makes my mind go, woo.
She talks really fast.
Wait, you wouldn't imagine that we're friends and we're both twin
I
moms.
think one of the things she mentioned, I'm sorry,
No, you're good.
but people getting the credit, and it's still going on this year. If they don't give it back to the solar, then when you're going to sell, that balance is still owed. So the seller, the buyer has to be aware that there might be that credit that wasn't paid off.
So their contract might not be lined up because that's stipulations of ownership. See, these are great things that like we have to dig a little deeper in and say, hey, there's some ways here. You might want to call the solar company. You guys are not there to interpret, but you are there to line up questions, right? Ask more questions. All right, so we're going into section 6, agency. We added this back to the listing contract as a topic to talk about because we want owners to understand we are there to represent them and we have fiduciary duties to them. I think the reason they had to add this back in is because a lot of realtors don't realize that real estate agency disclosure and election form needs to be filled out at initial contact, not at the time of offer. On both sides. Whereas this office already understands that in full of your fiduciary duties. So someone make me happy and just tell me what those are. How many do we have? Yes, loosen up. And what are they?
Old car.
Yes.
So old is obedience. L is loyalty. D is disclosure. CAR. C is confidentiality, A is accountability, and R is reasonable care.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I dream of a golden retriever and it makes me remember everything. So it is all about the fiduciary. Hey, Voz, what's up, man?
Hi, I've been following since the beginning until.
No, you're fantastic. I was just saying hi. Abraham's in the back too. Yeah, it's Abraham. Okay. Conduct of brokers is that everybody has to treat everybody honestly and fairly. And what I love about this, it defines as the conduct of brokers how you have to treat the other side, which is the word hard. Does anybody remember the word hard? What it stands for? Because sometimes it's hard to work with the other side.
Honesty, accountability, responsibility, and care, and disclosure.
Honesty, accountability, reasonable skill and care, and disclosure. You are absolutely correct. So it's just some reminders that they need to send everything through you, and everything you're there to do is to protect and promote their interests, unless you go into limited representation on 118 through 120, which means something really, really simple. Actually, I cannot do anything to detrimental to the other party. Doesn't mean I'm giving you any less reasonable skill and care or honesty. It just means instead of being your coach, I become the ref. I let you know all the options and you give me lawful instructions. It really doesn't have to be that scary. Everyone makes it like really intense, but really it's just about remembering to keep people's private stories, their private stories, and to only be discussing terms of the contract and not to try to put anything together for somebody else. Just you tell the buyer what the seller wanted you to tell the buyer, and you tell the seller what the buyer wanted you to tell the seller. And even when there's two agents involved and you don't even know the other party and you don't even know the other side, I have to limit my conversation and make sure I'm not advocating, because I'm like, hey, here's what the buyer wants me to present. Great. Their job's to present it, and vice versa. Sometimes it's hard for people to cut that off though, isn't it? So sometimes you can call me and say, I would hope you would call me and say, I'm having a problem. And then we try to get everybody back on the same team. And by the way, one of our problems, I think, came together. Broker authority, smile. Would you smile? Broker authority. This is the one that I love. You are supposed to immediately go on MLS. I think that's crazy how we wrote that. So that's why you guys always use that clear cooperation form with this, or you use verbiage that states that it will not be listed on MLS until a certain date. Signs at permission of the seller can be hung in the front yard. Photos at permission of the seller. Great place to have the discussion on who owns the photos. Who owns the photos? Yes, that's right, Miranda, you do. Yes, absolutely. Intellectual property. It's not that I'm going to cancel with you and take my photos and go somewhere else. It's no, those photos are mine. It's my property. Lock boxes at permission of the seller can be hung. This is only speaking of the blue super lock boxes. This is not the mechanical lock boxes. How can we open mechanical lock boxes if the codes are not working properly?
Phone call, ask what code is.
If it's not
Oh,
working.
it's not working properly?
Yeah, not, yes.
Smart camera?
It's actually, yeah, it's that great, it's not a Phillips, it's the flathead screwdriver, and you just pop that sucker open. That's why as professionals, we shouldn't be using it. Oh, there's ways. Sorry, I grew up.
Class on that?
I don't know.
There's a YouTube,
So,
there is a YouTube video.
so is it the best protection for your sellers to hang a mechanical lockbox?
No.
No, that's why we want to use a blue box. And how easy is it to break into a jammed blue box? Yeah, it's basically not happening, right? So that's the difference, is one's very breakable into and one is not. So we always, as realtors, use blue boxes. Offers, this is the part agents in our industry love saying. You call a listing agent and you say, could you tell me about the offers on the table? And they go, I'm not allowed to. We can't do that. Can they do that? Yeah, just give me your height. Yeah, thanks for wasting my time out there. I didn't have cash. You already had cash on the table. Like, help somebody here. In single agency, meaning you have no other Realty One Group offer on the table. They are all able to be disclosed. Nothing in real estate is considered confidential unless your seller tells you not to. This is where I would always mark is. And I would have a discussion with them on my reasoning. As a realtor, look, at the end of the day, I don't want to waste anybody's time. If we already have 3 offers on the table, 2 are cash, 1's conventional, and I have someone rolling up with an FHA that needs concessions, why are we going to break someone's heart just to break it? Wouldn't it be better to negotiate what's on the table? But in the event that 2 conventional or 2 cash or whatever the case is, I would like to be able to have frank conversations with each to let them know the highest and the best, and have them actually bring in an offer that could win and make you want to take them. Instead of playing the game of, well, just bring your highest and best. Why don't we tell them? I have so many agents in our industry, when they lose, they will say something like, well, you played us. No, it's called real estate. I represent the seller. This offer was at 410. Your offer was at 410. I told you both that you were at 410. You brought me an offer back at 411. They brought it at 415, and they changed their closing based on what I told both of them. But just to be very clear, I do not have to go out of my way and call every buyer's agent to say I have multiple offers. You don't call me as a buyer's agent to ask me, I don't owe you nothing. I only owe the seller something, right? But I should never lie. That's the big part. Never lie, of course.
So you're saying that we should tell the other offers the price?
It depends on your negotiation style and what your seller will allow. I'm saying that's how I work.
I use it a lot for negotiation power. I've been able to, I took a listing at 560, we ended at 615. Well, with cash offer with 615, but it was just one offer beating the other. And this was not during the heat of the market. This was like August or September.
Wow.
Sweet.
You said single agency only?
Single agency only, because
Dual, we don't.
right, because think about it, if you bring me an offer, right?
Yeah, okay.
And we're in the same brokerage, and I go and I take your buyer's offer and I start playing them against other offers and vice versa, I'm doing something detrimental to that buyer. I fully represent as well.
Okay.
Under the Realty One Group umbrella. So
Different person, different office, still Realty One.
And even if the seller says, I want you to do it, that's an unlawful instruction. And I have to stop talking and say, there is an offer on the table for my brokerage as well. Therefore, due to dual agency rules or limited representation rule sets per the state of Arizona, I can no longer have further discussions on terms. So at that point, I would say just bring your highest and best.
So, can you just not present that one offer? Can you just not talk about the other offers at all?
You have to treat everybody honest and fair. So therefore you have to treat all the same. So you would not discuss any of them. And you definitely wouldn't call your friend in the brokerage and say, hey, let me tell you how to win.
Yeah.
I know it's tempting if you know them. It's real tempting, but you're just buyer's ability, right? Because that's the one thing realtors mess up on a lot. Oh, it's Kathy's listing. Me and Kathy are friends. Like I could totally win this. And I'm trying to put Kathy in a spot to tell me things she's not allowed to share. And then I've set my clients up to think, because me and Kathy are friends and we're in the same brokerage, that they're definitely going to win the deal. And that is called getting fired, because when now you don't win that deal, you set the expectation that you should have won the deal. And what can we guarantee in real estate? Our service only, nothing else. 161 through one, and that's why they hire us, right? Sorry, y'all snuck in back there, so now I just keep going back. Asbury, have you felt included? I know that you're not. Good. Okay. 161 through 162. I always mark accept backup offers and withhold verbal offers. This is a personal thing I do. I always accept backups, and the reason is it's not done until it's done. So UCB away. My listings go UCB until close of escrow. There is no requirement for pending. I wanted to continue to advertise. My seller can't not act in good faith with the contract, but isn't it my job to kind of get other things going on conversations just in case? Withhold verbal offers. I've personally had it where people tell me something too good to be true. I have an obligation to disclose that to my seller per state law. And then my seller's like, yeah, let's do it. And they disappeared. Where did they go? because it wasn't in writing. So I always withhold. And I never withhold all offers once an owner accepts, because I truly believe that it's our job to make sure they know everything at all times. But that's going to be a personal preference, and that's something you'll want to discuss with your sellers. Any questions so far? Big one, 165 through 167, really big bullet point here for you guys. We have a unilateral right to cancel this agreement. Under compensation, we talked about what happens if the seller wants to cancel. But here's our unilateral right, is for cause. Cause is defined by something that they're asking you to do, something illegal. They're putting us in a bind where we feel as though they're becoming more of a liability than someone we can actually serve. They make you feel uncomfortable in conversations. They're non-responsive. Basically, you come to me and I'm the one that cancels the listing on your behalf. When it's for cause, do not expect any compensation.
Such as,
So I had a seller once asking one of our listing agents to commit fraud. She purposely did not list her home in her name. She was under an LLC. She kept asking him not to have certain reports pulled, because what would happen is it would highlight from a divorce decree that there were judgments in her name out there, and she didn't want to pay those judgments. And when you're pulled and you're selling your property, you have to pay past judgments to clear title, because everything can be a lien on your house. And she actually called me, and she was so mad that our agent allowed a title up report the day before, and that meant her ex-husband's attorney placed a lien that needed to be paid off with the payoff, and she refused to pay it. That is called fraud. So I asked her if she meant to intentionally misrepresent her ability to sell the property, because fraud is an ugly word and it has 7 layers and it's almost impossible to prove. And she started yelling at me in very nice English, and meaning she spoke it very nicely. I understood everything she said, to tell me she didn't understand anything she had agreed to at that point, and it was all invalid. And I just giggled a little bit by mistake, and we moved forward. That would be a great reason to let someone go. Or someone says something to you and they make you feel less than in any way because of who you are. That is called discrimination.
the reason I ask is because, prior to being here in Realty One, I didn't get a lot of support, but they were already on the contract, but our agent was representing the buyer. And then she announced that she was pregnant. And then her client, the buyer, was like, "Are you sure you're gonna be able to do this job now that you're pregnant?" And he kept making like very uncomfortable comments like that.
And so we can fire someone on the buyer broker as well, or we can reassign them to somebody else on, within the brokerage. But it's only for cause. And if it made her feel uncomfortable, it's definitely someone she should walk from, and we should invalidate or cancel any kind of employment agreement. The one item that's hard is once you're in purchase contract mode, you cannot fire them, right? But I can reassign. And we can have discussions. So it's when you're in a purchase contract, you're in it. There's no firing. And if you need me to get involved, let me know. But usually, let's just have happy humans. Okay. All right.
You find those.
I find them all the time. They're usually around caffeine spots. Find the watering holes that offer caffeine.
So true.
Page 5 is a big deal. Premises, I don't know what happened to my page 5. There it is. Premises access. This is another reason. If a seller will never allow showings, I can't sell their house. You can sell it sight unseen. It's not gonna be what they want, and they're definitely canceling in the inspection period. So so excited, right? To waste my life. The owner is saying we will allow you with reasonable access to access the property. Be extremely, extremely careful though, if you have any kind of situation where it's occupied and there's a few layers, make sure everyone understands and you're on the same page how to communicate with those reasonable times and how to gain access. Last thing we need to do is walk on people in the shower. Right? Yeah, I didn't know. Okay, how do I inform the family in its entirety not to be there between 3:30 and 4 o'clock? Right? We need to make sure everyone knows. Security, insurance, showings, audio and video. Look, we get it. That they might have cameras and that they're watching. We're going to ask them to allow us to put up a sign in the event that they're also recording them on what they're saying. So on the front door, it would say, please be aware that there's security cameras and audio surveillance on this home. Even though I know you're all coaching your buyers to smile really big and that everybody can hear and see you. And you've never used the tactic of standing next to the Ring doorbell and coaching them on, oh, you love this house? Oh, it's a great house. I
Never
know.
done that before. Never done it.
And just straight out tell them what to offer. And then, oh my God, the offer comes in as such. Like, it's amazing. But on the listing side, just let them know we understand it might happen, but also to never have them, and I know we discussed it a lot on day one, make a decision based on an equal housing category. Okay, well, I saw them, I didn't like them. I'm all like, do not tell me more. I'm gonna pretend it's the coat, right? But really, I'm not gonna pretend anything. Like, when we go down these discussions with people, we need to like back them up and say, please stop. The only thing you can judge someone on is their ability to purchase your home, and this is where we are. But hopefully you don't run into that either. Adverse information. All right. We don't live in the house with them. You're not going to hold me liable if you lie. I wouldn't know if you're lying. I didn't fix the garbage disposal with you at 10 p.m. I don't know. If I lived with you, I would know, because my husband cusses every time I make him get out of bed to fix something. I hear him very loudly. So you're not going to hold me liable, but you are going to disclose per state requirements, and the state requirement is that all material facts have to be disclosed. However, Arizona Association of Realtors, and the reason you're using me is to simplify that process. And on the end of page 5, what you're going to see is all the different disclosures that could apply to you. But let's highlight the ones that do apply to you and go over those, right? And let them know the importance of filling out the most up-to-date seller property disclosure statement. Not the one prior to February 1st, the one dated after February 1st. The solar addendum, why they need to call and ask 50 questions, right? And really start digging and ask the solar company for items in writing or to point it out in their contract. And the reason is, have you ever called the solar company and left the phone feeling like really good about it, and then the next day call the next person and realize that first day was all a myth? They didn't mean to say that and be nice to you. They meant to say this and be mean to you, right? So all these items are extremely important. Also on 206 to 207, it says residential lease agreement. 208 through 209 says residential lease owner's property disclosure statement. I would like you to note and star those items in the event there is a current lease in a property that you're selling. You need to make sure that the residential lease owner's addendum is incorporated in your original offer. This was in your read me from this week. You got your newsletter on Saturday, because that's when I make it. Everybody good on that? Disclosures are important, and this is your reasonable skill and care.
Which one is it? Residential lease?
It's the residential lease owner's addendum.
Oh, okay.
Can I bring up something that I've encountered recently?
Yeah.
On the HOA condominium plan community addendum?
Yeah.
There's also an over 55 addendum.
Yes.
There was discrepancies between the two on one of my contracts.
Okay, so
Okay.
no, so that's interesting. The 55, the active adult community addendum you're speaking about is actually a we serve form, so not everybody has access to it.
Oh. Well, I had both of those in my contract and they contradicted each other. So the HOA one said that the seller was gonna pay for all HOA fees, and then the over 55 one said that the buyer was gonna pay these other fees. So it kind of like contradicted. So if you guys ever come across that, I would try to make it easier on everyone, to make them look the same or
Resemble the same
resemble the
information.
same information, because it could have been an issue The client was okay, nobody wanted to do anything about it, so I didn't push it. That's not my area, but
Bad on us, though, like as a profession, bad on us.
But I mean, you see stuff like that. I'm just bringing it up because I've never had that happen before. But it looked all advantageous on the HOA addendum, like, oh, the seller's paying for all that? And then you see that one, you're like, oh, they're really not.
Yeah, and that's the hard part because that capital improvement fee section goes into so many different areas, and the active adult community addendums concept was, let's divide these out, make sure it's fully disclosed. But when they do conflict with each other, then we end up sometimes with smoothness, but most of the time with very adversarial, somebody's going to end up upset.
And if you list it out on the HOA, like it's listed on the 55 one, then it would make sense, right? Like if it all works.
Yep, so it's kind of like pick one form. It feels like to me.
And if you're not, at least have it detailed there, which they didn't. It was there was room for.
So are you guys cool with 5 more minutes so we can wrap
Yeah.
up the ER agreement? Thank you for that, Barb. Recommendations. They need to realize that you are going to give them recommendations on who you've worked with as landscapers, title people, lenders, but it's up to them to evaluate it for themselves, to use who they like. They don't have to go with your recommendations. Indemnification, this section is exactly why no one from another brokerage can sit your homes open. This is why you don't sit other brokerages' homes open. The indemnification clause is more than just information based. If something happens on that property, if you trip and fall and you're not part of that brokerage, they can personally come after you because they didn't hire you. They didn't release you. They didn't hold you harmless. Now that person with the broken ankle is not only going to go after the seller and the seller's insurance, they can personally come after you and vice versa. And that's why I think agents get really upset. Like, well, this broker said I could say anybody in the whole valley, no matter what the brokerage. I'm like, do you have an umbrella insurance policy? And do you want to take that on? Because I personally wouldn't want to take that on. But it is also saying that we're not going to be held liable for any of their disclosures. They're doing everything to the best of their ability. Remedies, section 9, ADR, everything goes through ADR, which is mediation, and then arbitration, small claims court if it applies. Nothing goes directly to court when it comes to real estate contracts. Additional terms and conditions, this is where you write anything that would be outside of what was already agreed on. Please do not write anything that you're just rewriting what the contract already says. Like, don't rewrite what it already says because that creates ambiguity. 257 through 261, nothing's real unless it's delivered, and this is how it can be delivered, and email is one of those. But it was really interesting this weekend. I had an agent say, this listing agent didn't have an email address. They only had a fax number. And I know, right? Like, that feels weird. And she was like, I don't have a fax. And I was like, well, here's a bunch of different e-fax systems on Google. You're going to need to fax them because that's still a proper form of delivery. We just sometimes have to overcome it and figure it out. I mean, that's kind of a one-off these days, but it's real. So this is not valid unless you sign page 7 and deliver this back to your seller fully signed. You leaving that listing agreement like on cloud 9, they have copies of everything. They're just unsigned copies. And you're like, I'm going to go have lunch now because I'm really happy. And then an hour later, they're like, I decided I want to do it. And you can't prove to me you delivered this signed. They didn't have a contract yet. So don't have lunch yet until you email it to them. And please sign it. Every day is a day in real estate. The owner needs to sign. Anybody that you need to have sign a contract, I really urge you. I get that it only takes one to list. I really urge you to get all their buy-in right here. Because the hardest thing is when somebody's like not sure they want to sell and only one person signed it with you. Yeah, you can sell a house 10 times over. Right? But if not all people in the capacity of selling sign that purchase contract, it's not valid. So get their first buy-in right here. Broker, the agent is a member of your local association. So Phoenix, We Serve, or Scottsdale. And then you sign and you print your name. And I would at a bare minimum put one contact for yourself there, if not both. I signed this right in front of them. Personally, Because when they say yes to me, I'm also saying yes to them. This is our mutual yeses. I like you, you like me. This is our mutual, we're gonna move forward and be friends for 60 days or whatever, 6 months. But that's why I also will take the time to go to the local coffee shop or whatever in the area and scan every document with my phone and email everything in its entirety and deliver and say, I'm so forward to working with you. Just wanted to get you a copy of your documents as soon as I could. I will follow up with another email with everything we discussed later today. Thank you. And I deliver it. And boom, we have a listing contract. Anybody have anything they want to add or ask? Carla.
Remember, Gary, just sent a picture and it didn't work.
I remember
It was a
that.
counter offer
I
or?
remember that.
Yeah, so texting can feel official, but there's nothing about texting that's official per 257 to 261 of the ER agreement. Also in the purchase contract under notice of delivery as well, it has the same exact ways of delivery. Nothing in here says text. And Carla, I did try to fight for him, but yeah, I knew it was a losing battle. But I'll try anything. Why not? Let's just, all I can do is like really push back and be right. But text, like taking a picture and texting, it does not work. It has to be email, fax, hand delivered, or mailed. Fastest is email. So if they're a client that does not have email, you better go next door to FedEx or wherever, make copies, go hand deliver them and acknowledge that they have received them. Okay, well, guys, sell houses, happy Monday. Let's do our thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
thanks,
I have
Caroline.
about, 15
Can I ask a quick question of you?
Yeah, just let me end this so no one hears you.